Hello everyone. So I am recording this video. Actually, I guess I'm in. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, so I'm in the same position, surprisingly enough, as when I recorded the first video. Uh, but this is another Dreams video. Uh, because I took a nap like a couple hours ago on accident. I just fell asleep out of nowhere, and I just had a really interesting dream while I was napping. Uh, So after I woke up, I recorded the dream in my notes, and I went to eat dinner, and I was typing the dream while I was eating dinner and stuff. And I decided to share this dream with you guys. So let me go to that dream real quick, so that, or actually, I guess I should move this to the screen so I can see both things at the same time. Okay, so nice. Okay, so I have the dream on screen, and I guess I will read this. Actually, I might just try telling you the dream instead of reading it, because I'm gonna put what I wrote for the dream in the comments again, like last time. Although I did notice last time that I forgot to do that initially because it didn't post the comment that I wrote originally, which was weird. I didn't know why. But yeah, so I will put it in comments this time, and I'll remember. uh, and I'm actually just going to tell you the dream as I remember it. So the dream started off. I don't remember where I was, but I was. My bag was on the floor, and it was next to this other bag, and the other bag looked exactly like my bag. And this guy came and grabbed his bag, which was actually my bag, and I grabbed his bag, which I thought was my bag because our bags looked the same. When I got home, I opened my bag, so guess I was grabbing my homework or whatever, and inside the bag was actually an extremely, insanely large amount of money. Just so much money. So I showed my family, and notably, my family in this is not actually my family. My IRL family, also the character that I was not actually me. I'm barely ever the character, and it's barely ever people that I actually know, but in my dreams, I mean. But yeah, so I showed it to my family, and everyone was absolutely excited. Everyone was celebrating. We were super happy, and we decided that we would go on vacation somewhere in the world. We would just travel and go have fun. So immediately after that, we were in, I'd call it Asia. It didn't exactly look like any specific place in Asia, but it looked kind of like a combination of Japan, China, and Korea. Uh, and it was like super kind of futuristic and stuff, and then it was kind of not in some areas, and it was really interesting. It was just a really cool place, and I would generally say that it was Asia. So that was cool. We were having a lot of fun there, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. I don't remember any of the stuff that we did specifically. Actually, I don't think I went over the stuff that we did specifically in the dream either. But yeah, we were having fun there, and then we stayed in this hotel or whatever, or just in this building, uh, because while we were traveling and stuff around the city, we noticed that there were cars that we would see multiple times while we were just traveling around and stuff. And whenever we went places, we felt like we were being watched by someone or multiple people in some cases. Uh, so we went to this one building, which kind of was like a hotel or whatever. But we went there, stay there. I'm going to continue talking. But we went there to relax and think about what the cuss was going on, because it was weird that we kept feeling like we were being watched wherever we were. So, oh yeah, no, that's definitely not better. Uh, so next door to this building is actually a garage as well. Just note, because it will be important in a bit. But yeah, we were staying in this hotel-like place. There was a garage next door and shiz. And we were staying here trying to figure out what was going on. In this world that we're in, like the general world of this dream, most people have a special ability of sorts, Uh, my brother and my dad were using their abilities right now. My brother's ability is he is a technological genius in general, and he can pretty much like make anything he can imagine that he may need, uh, in technology wise. So he made this radar of sorts. It starts off as this little cube, and it's about this big. Let me actually just minus that because I'm not even using it anymore. It starts off as a little cube because it's about this big, uh, and it folds out. Like it actually, the device combines all the way into that cube, and then when he needs it, it actually comes all the way out into the actual device. And it's like the actual device is like this big, and it's a radar of sorts that he holds and looks at, and it shows in about a 20-mile radius of where we are all of the mafia members that were around us, because the bag I took was belonged to that of a mafia boss. That would be why there was so much money in it. And that would be why kept feeling like we were being watched, because there was the mafia boss was actually looking for us, and like he sent his peeps, and even freeing like we're in whatever place in Asia we are, and they followed us here, and they were watching us all day. So in about that 20-mile radius, there were about 10 cars uh, driving around that general area that were that had been following us, and they were basically like there were 5 that were closer and basically circling the place that we were at, and just 10 in that 20-mile radius, and they were all already in shiz. Uh, so we knew that they were there, and we knew that we had their money, and that was why they were following us, and that's why we kept feeling like we were being watched the entire time. It is, of course, obviously weird for anyone to just get a bag of money out of nowhere. Our reaction to getting a bag of money out of nowhere, I guess, was not exactly a very good one. Deciding to go spend said money, not exactly a good idea, but hey, it was fun. uh, so we sorry, we my dad went into the garage that was next door. My dad's ability was that he's basically a mechanical genius, similar to my brother. This brother is older than me. Yeah. Similar to my brother, he is a mechanical genius, or I guess my brother's similar to my dad. He is a mechanical genius. My dad is able to build basically any vehicle that he may need that he can imagine. Like any, basically the same as my brother, he can make any technological device that he can imagine. My dad can build any vehicle that he can imagine with anything that he may need for it. He basically can create, like basically just straight up create stuff, as long as he has the materials to do so. And being that in the garage next door, which we did park our car inside, was filled with a bunch of scrap cars. This garage has not been used in a long time, and I don't mean like a garage like your house garage. I mean like a auto shop garage type thing. Um, and So inside was a bunch of scrapped cars, because this area is the area we were generally in is not exactly very used. It's kind of run down, but still inhabited a little. There are generally most people have moved farther into the city. Uh, but the building we're in basically is like a hotel and shiz, or it kind of looks like one. Uh, and next door was the garage. So my dad's in the garage building a big rig, trailer and back and everything, because the idea we came up with is we'd leave and that we'd get the entire family, which is me, my older brother, my older sister, uh, my mom, and my dad, and they would all be in the back of the truck inside of the trailer, and my brother, which I'm about to explain, is actually going to be on top of the big rig. Um, my brother went to my dad and told him to, in building this, to make it so that it's not actually controlled by the general way of controlling a vehicle, steering wheel, pedal, and all that stuff, because my brother will be controlling it using the device that he was now adapting for this purpose. The small cube radar thing that he had. Yeah, he's working on it. He was working on it now while my dad was working on the big rig. Uh, and he told my dad to, one, make it so that the big rig actually isn't controlled by the usual method of the steering wheel and such. And two, that it would be a bumpy ride, and to make sure the back is safe for everyone. Uh, and when he said bumpy ride, my dad knew exactly what he meant. Uh, because by bumpy ride, basically the idea he actually meant was like really high difficulty whitewater rapids type of bumpy ride. Yeah, that would be what that was. So my dad was doing some crazy shiz in the back to make it so that basically nothing's going to happen to them in the back of there, even if, for example, the entire truck crashed. Then they'd still be safe. So he's working on that. Brother's working on his device. When they both finish those two, they come together. Everyone gets in back other than me and my brother. And me and my brother go on top of the big rig. The device that my brother had, the little square, was now about the size of a suitcase bag, like entire suitcase bag. And with all the edits that he did to it, it was about that size now. And he got on top of the truck and asked me to come up there with him because he was going to need me later. Everyone else got in back and got buckled in, I guess. I never saw the inside of the back of the truck because I was on top and shit. From the top, my brother put down the suitcase bag on top of the truck. We're on the actual truck part of the big rig, not the trailer part. I don't know why I did this to describe that. I guess I should have did like no, this side. No, this side. Yeah, the truck part, and then trailer going across the back. Yeah, there we go. We were on top of the truck. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so my brother set down the suitcase bag, the device that was about the size of the suitcase bag, and it expanded out immediately. It completely just launched out like basically arms of metal that encompassed the entire truck, and it took control of the truck completely. It also encased the top of where we were with a coating that allowed us to be able to see out, but no one could actually see us inside of that coating, and no one could actually see the coating. It was basically an invisible layer where we were just not there, and it was just a normal truck. All of the things that came out of the suitcase thing that's now controlling the truck, it's all invisible, but we could see it from the inside of it doing what it's doing. So my brother now had control of the truck, and using his device, he was able to actually drive the truck. So, yeah, sorry. It just looked weird to me, so I did all of that. Okay. That didn't help at all, apparently. So, we started driving out, opened the garage door, drove the truck out, and started driving down the street. My brother watched the radar, which was still there on the device. He watched the radar to see if the mafia were following us, and they continued to circle the building. Because, again, the building looked basically like a hotel, so there was the possibility that other people were there, and also they had not seen inside of the garage. And being that we parked our car in there, and our car didn't come out, they assumed that we were still inside of the building. So, luckily for us, we were able to just drive away casually. No one noticed anything. None of us were in any of the seats, so no one noticed anything at all. Now, the device that my brother had built to adapt to the truck, it now showed the map, a map of the area, as well as the radar on the side, so he could see all of the mafia members and where they were, as well as a map of the roads where we were driving on. Basically, the way the device works is he would pick a point, he would put a star there, and the truck would drive to that point within the quickest possible route. Now, the device is very smart, but it is not smart enough to see obstacles. So it is able to see. It knows buildings are buildings because of the fact that on a map, buildings are the black areas on a map or dark areas on a map. So it doesn't go there because it's basically a wall. So it knows not to go into a building, but it is not able to see things like traffic lights and cars and trains and things like that. uh, which is why my brother needed me up there as well, because he has to stay still to watch the map and actually pick the spots that we'd go to, as well as watch radar. Watch the radar. So to begin with, we had decided that we were going to be heading to the airport to escape, obviously. Uh, so my brother, I guess I should put this on the charger. So my brother, to pretend as though we're an actual truck just heading in a general direction, uh, my brother would pick small points on the map, like to the next traffic light, so that the truck would drive normally to that next point, uh, and not look suspicious at all. We were doing this, and it's a truck, so it's not very fast. Well, actually, it is because my dad made this truck. My dad's really good, but we weren't driving too fast, so as to again look normal and not suspicious at all. Uh, about 30 minutes had passed of us just driving on the street, driving normally, not doing anything crazy, uh, and the truck was driving fine. About 30 minutes passed, and on the radar came up one mafia car, and it drove somewhere near and went past us. Uh, and my brother noticed it. We continued driving normally as we were, going in the general direction of the airport. The airport's about 2 hours away, though. Something like that. Then, about 10 minutes later, after that first car, we saw another car on the radar coming from a different direction, but still just driving, just normally. And then it passed us. And my brother noticed that one too, and he noted it, and then he pointed both of those out to me. And then about 5 minutes later, 3 more mafia cars appeared on the map. He told me that they were coming, and then he told me to get ready. So as soon as we saw the 3 more coming on the radar, we realized that the first 2 were there to see whether or not we were actually, whether or not that truck was still around, and whether or not we were in that truck. And as soon as the second one came and we saw the 3 on the radar, we knew that the rest of them were starting to come at us. So my brother immediately opened the entire city map and just put a star on the airport. So now, the way I explained it was the device takes whatever location that you set it to go to, and it finds the quickest route and just goes there. Now, along with that, it also means that the quickest route doesn't exactly have to be on the road, as long as it wasn't a building or something directly in its way. It just driving to the airport. So since my brother is controlling the actual truck, or controlling the device and watching the radar and making sure to deal with the guys that were like anywhere directly near us, he told me to go and actually control the trucks physically and make sure we didn't hit cars and things like that. So I started controlling the truck and making sure that we didn't run into any cars unless we absolutely needed to keep going, and make sure we didn't freaking die from this truck just going. And we are driving pretty fast. Great truck too, basically indestructible, man. It's crazy, but that's just not important. So after driving for about let's see, another 30 minutes, we had gotten through a lot of the city, and we were now close to a clearing, right off the side of the road. And the truck, instead of turning to continue going down the road and going around it ran right off the side of the road and into that clearing. This clearing, I call it a clearing, but clearings are usually flat. Or no, I guess plains are flat. This clearing has a bunch of hills and stuff. We're driving really fast, so I'm sure you can imagine what happens when you're driving fast at a hill. But the truck is just going to continue driving in its path going towards the hospital. And what's bad about this clearing is specifically used as the raised train area. So the elevated train area. So basically, like highways, how highways look, the elevated highways and like cities and stuff like that. Uh, the entire area below the highway, where normally that's also more highway or road or whatever, that's all this clearing with hills and stuff. And then the actual highways are all train tracks with trains going through them very often. So as we were going off hills, I'd have to force the truck to turn in different directions to avoid hitting the tracks or the trains around. After we were driving through there for about another 10, 20 minutes. And right almost out of the clearing, we went off another hill and were flying directly at a train that was coming right at us. So if we kept going in that direction, we were going to ram right into the middle of the train as it was coming. So I had to force our trucks to go below the tracks, and only slightly did we do so. Uh, and we were able to go below the tracks, and we ended up ramming into a building on the other side of the clearing because we didn't realize we were already at the other side of the clearing. And we hit the building. The truck fell over. The carrier in the back or whatever fell detached, fell on the ground, uh, and we all crawled out of the truck. Everyone crawled out of the truck. Everyone was together. We were in front of the truck. The mafia cars. My brother looked at the radar. They were still mafia cars coming at us. They weren't coming through the clearing like some idiots like we did, but they were coming for us. So my mom, my dad, and my brother told me and my sister to take money and go and head towards the airport. So we ran into the building and kept running while they stayed there to stop anyone that came to try to get us. We were running. This building is extremely complex that we were running through. Like it's not only a building. It's like this. Yeah, I guess the word for it would be like no. It's a crazy set of like a bunch of buildings that made up the whole place. Like some areas were like outside areas, other areas were like larger or smaller buildings. But like there's this entire place that is one big facility. It might have been like a university or something in the past, something like that. I don't know. But we were running through the building for a while, uh, trying to find our way to just the other side, continuing in a generally straight line, trying to get to where the airport is. Uh, and we came to an area that basically looked like an auto shop, basically. There were actually some people inside of it, but right on the edge of that, and it was in the direction that we need to go to. Completely blocking where it was a freaking metal fence, and this metal fence was huge, not easy to climb over. And there was a door, but it was chained and locked. So my sister uh, decided to use her ability to get the peeps in the auto shop to open the door. Her ability is, we generally call it seduction, but it's basically a persuasion ability. It does work better on those of the opposite gender, but it doesn't work on anyone in our family. Uh, she has tried before, and we know when she's trying, so whenever she does try, we hit her on the head, tell her to stop. But yeah, so it's basically a persuasion ability that she is able to use, and she used it to get the guys in the auto shop to come over and open the gate. As soon as they did, we ran through and passed the auto shop and kept going on our line. After like 20 minutes, we could hear the mafia dudes that were still coming for us. They had gotten past our family. We knew that. They were still coming for us. We ended up coming out to this outside area that was kind of like a park, but it was really weird because it was it was like on several platforms and elevated in different ways. So like we came out here, and on this part was a basketball court. Let's flatten that. There we go. On this part was a basketball court. There was actually another place down here as well. So down here was another basketball court, yeah, surprisingly enough. But there's an entire wall, like between these two levels. There you go. Between these two levels, there's an entire wall that is completely flat, made of stone, and it's like impossible to scale. Uh, The next level was actually, so we're on this basketball level. There's another level that's over here, or actually no, it's right here, and this one's a tennis court, and up here, which is a baseball field, and they're all with completely extremely huge, unscalable walls between each of those levels of different things, and we couldn't see any possible way of getting up those walls. Uh, and my sister's ability is persuasion. And as far as I knew and my family knew, I didn't have any special abilities. So she went back, told me to get up that wall somehow, and she would try to stop the mafia dudes. So I turned towards the wall, and I was thinking, and I'm not as smart as my brother or my dad, so I couldn't think of any like plans or inventions or anything that I could make to get up that wall. And that wall is completely flat and made of stone, and there was just nothing I could do to scale it. So I just started jumping at it, and I would just. So first, I threw the bag up and was able to get it up the wall, and right on the edge. So like basically about to fall off, but it stayed. And then I just started trying to jump up the wall, run, jump, and try to reach and grab, but I couldn't get basically anywhere near the top of the wall. That wall was way too high to jump up or to scale at all. Then I heard the mafia guys start fighting, and that made me happy because I was sure that my sister was able to deal with them, and she had gotten several of them to start fighting the other guys until about a minute later where I heard her scream. And that made me extremely panicky, and I immediately I turned to run back to help her, and I realized immediately that I wouldn't be able to do anything to help her at all, and the purpose of her having gone was to help me get out of here, so I need to figure out some way of doing so. So I turned back towards the wall, and I decided to try one more time at jumping at it because I really couldn't see any other way of doing anything. So I ran, and I ran, and I jumped all the way at the wall, and in this split second, in the middle of the air, like right at the height of the top of my jump, right before I started falling, I crunched my legs, and I pushed off, trying to jump again, basically like as if I was like on the ground. I tried to jump again, and I did. I just did, and I jumped, and I actually went high enough, and I grabbed the top of the wall, and I pulled myself up and over, and I was absolutely amazed. And I wondered how the fluff I had just jumped again when I was just in the air. And I realized that my ability that I had no idea I had was basically the ability to wind walk, which the concept of wind walking is the ability to be able to basically walk on air. In this form, I had used it to double jump, using the air basically as the ground, treating it as though it were solid ground for me to jump off of. So I did so in the air. With more practice, I would be able to just straight up walk on air casually whenever I want, but I'm only just now realizing that I can do this, and all that stuff isn't that important. All that's important is that I need to get out of here, and that can help me get out. So now I'm on the tennis court level, and there were two courts. I was on the right court, and on the left court there were two people that were actually already playing tennis. So I grabbed the bat, and on the other side of the left court was the actual wall to where the baseball field was, and I just needed to go use the wind walk ability again to get up that wall and keep going. So I grabbed the bag of money. I started walking towards the other wall. As soon as I got about this close, no, actually, like as soon as I got close to the tennis court, a ball came flying right out my face and went like slightly past me. And I looked at the two players, and they were still playing, like hadn't even broken a stride, and they were just playing, moving, just sending the ball right back at each other. So I thought, oh, it must have been an accident. I mean, it wouldn't make exactly any sense because they're still playing, but I guess somehow the ball just flew at me or whatever, and they just continued. So I treated it as nothing, and I kept walking. Of course, I was walking behind the court, so I didn't get in the way of their game, which meant that I was basically walking on the edge of the wall. Uh, so I started walking again, and another ball came, and it hit the bag, which knocked me slightly off balance because the bag then flew off my arm and just kind of slid down a little, pulled me to the side, and almost pulled me kind of off the wall. It knocked me a little bit off balance. But I caught my balance again. I caught the bag. I pulled it back. And I realized that was not an accident. So I immediately started running toward the wall. And as soon as I started running, way more balls started flying at me. And these guys, they were not stopping. They were continuing to just play the game, but at the same time launching so many balls at me while I'm trying to run to the wall. So I just kept... Did someone knock on my door? No. Okay. Ignore that. So I continued to run at the wall, and while trying to dodge different balls that were coming at my face and at my body, at my legs, trying to make sure that I stayed balanced and didn't fall off the wall. Because again, I'm running pretty much on the edge of this wall. I had to make sure that the balls didn't keep hitting my bag either, because it could definitely knock me off balance. When I was almost past the court, they hit another ball that directly hit the bag, and it launched it off my arm, and it started to fly almost right over the edge. And I didn't want to lose the bag, so I immediately fell to the ground and reached as far out as I could, and I caught the bag. And I pulled it back up and rolled back onto the court. And I got up and I ran towards the wall. And I just ran. And they stopped throwing balls at me, shooting balls at me. And I threw and I didn't notice that they had stopped, but I was panicked, just like I was the first time when I just needed to get up the wall. I was panicked. I threw the bag and I just jumped, and I got up, and I was safe. And I laid down on the grass of the baseball field, and I was absolutely exhausted. I had no idea that this wind walking ability would take so much energy out of me, although there's also the fact that I was trying to dodge all those balls and all the running I had already been doing. So I was absolutely exhausted. I looked up at the field, and I saw that the entire field was surrounded by a huge fence that also is covered in barbed wire. So that was another obstacle. But I knew that, but on the other side of the fence, all the way to the other end of the field, was the city, and I could see it through the fence. Now, the city over there is actually pretty much abandoned. That entire area is generally not used. But that just means that I can get past there easily. No one's going to try catching me. I'm like home free as soon as I get past that fence. And all I have to do, hey, is wind walk. So, shiz was easy, right? So, I got up, grabbed the bag, started running towards that fence. I got to the fence, and I threw the bag over. Blam. We're done with that bag. Bag's good. All I gotta do is get over the fence. I backed up, ran at the fence, jumped in the air, and then just fell at the fence. Just hit the fence, fell off, and fell on the ground. I wasn't able to do it. I couldn't figure out why. So I sat there for a bit. I was extremely exhausted. I was completely out of breath, and I laid against the fence for about 5-10 minutes, just breathing heavily and thinking about what I needed to do to actually use his ability, because the first 2 times I was super panicked and just tried jumping or whatever, and it just did it. And I couldn't do it this time. So I sat there on the fence just trying to figure shit out. And then I saw/heard the Mafia guys from on the other side of the field. I heard them coming, and I was like, oh, crap. And I saw them start climbing out of the dugout. And I realized there was an easier way to get up all these walls than what I did. But I was in a hurry, and that's not important right now. What's important is those guys are coming for me. I need to get out of here. So I dragged myself off the floor. I backed up again, and I thought to myself, well, what did I do the first times that I successfully did the wind walk ability? I was like, 1, I was panicked, and I turned around and looked at the Mafia guys coming at me. Check. Two, I treated the air as if it was the ground and just tried to jump off of it. And I assumed that that was probably what I was missing. So I ran at the fence and I jumped, and then I I bent my knees into a ball to prepare to jump off the air again, and I pushed off, treating it as if I was just straight up pushing off the ground again, jumping like I had just a couple seconds ago, and it worked. And I just pushed off and went right over the fence onto the ground on the other side, rolled, and picked up the bag of money. I turned around, saw the guy still coming, and I just started running. I already knew they wouldn't be able to make it past that fence because that fence is one, too tall for anyone to climb, and two, barbed all to the absolute shiz, just completely barbed. So I was good. So I started running. Unfortunately, now I'm by myself. So in this area of the city, I was after this is like 10 or 20 minutes after all of that stuff. I was walking around, and I realized that this entire area is pretty much abandoned. And I knew I still was supposed to keep going, like in this general direction to get to the airport. But I'd already thought about it, and if these guys were able to follow us to a completely another country and were following us everywhere here, then I probably wouldn't be able to get out by the airport, unfortunately. And I'd already thought about that. When I was looking, and while I was walking, I started looking around to see if like there was anyone following me, watching me, or whatever. And I started to notice on random buildings were these little black spherical. I said it right the first time. There was these little black spherical things on the sides of the buildings in like random areas, on like random buildings. And it took me a second, but then I realized those were cameras. Like, if you see in like buildings nowadays, cameras are usually in those little spherical dome things, half spheres, and like underneath there's a camera there. Yeah, I realized those are cameras. And I realized that if I kept walking around like this, that they'd be able to find me sooner or later. So I needed to hide. So I looked around, and once again, I saw a garage door. I don't know what's up with garages in this dream and shit, but I saw a garage door, and the garage door was pretty much closed. Like basically, like the garage doors you use to like close a store the giant metal doors that you bring down. I don't know why I need to call it a garage door, but garages often have that door. So that giant metal door that you bring down and close the door. Yeah, I saw that. It was a car that was rammed into the side of it. So this is the door. This part's broken because. Yeah, this part's broken because a giant freaking car is rammed into it. Yeah. There's about enough space between the car and the actual door for someone to crawl through. So I pushed the money into that space, and I crawled through there. And I just decided to hide in there for a little while until either someone found me or I was sure that I was safe, no one was able to see me, or no one was watching me, or no one could see through the cameras or whatever, and I was sure that I could successfully escape. So now I'm alone in this garage or whatever. I don't even know what the place was. I didn't check around. I just snuck into there. I'm alone there with the money. All of my fams and shoes are gone in general, and I know I can't take the airport to get out because mafia dudes are probably surrounding that place. So I was pretty much screwed. And about a minute waiting in that place, I woke up. Yep, woke up there after all that shiz. It was a whole lot of work, and that was the entire dream. I woke up from that dream. That was earlier today. I woke up from that. I sat there, I thought about it for a little while. It's a pretty good dream. So I pulled out my laptop, I started typing, realized I should eat. I just went and got dinner and was typing while I was eating. So yeah, I typed the whole dream I'm reading. So I'll upload this video and I'll put the dream in the comments. I can't put it in the description because it's too big of a message and you can't put that in the description. That's probably why it didn't work for when I tried to put the entire thing as a comment. So I'm putting it as two separate comments. Half of it will be the first comment. The second half will be the second comment clearly, and or actually it'll probably just be a reply to the first comment, reply, second thing, part of it. But yeah, that's the dream. It's a pretty good dream. I enjoyed it. It was really enjoyable dream to actually have. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing the dream or the story of the dream. Hopefully, if you don't want to hear this and you can read it, I keep forgetting to. Actually, I think I did say it at the beginning, but yeah, you read it, makes it much easier for you, and also if you read it yourself, you probably wouldn't have to deal with the 40 minutes of this video. So there's that. Thank you for being here and enjoying the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you peeps later for another video. I really need to stop saying video. I said it too many times. But yeah. Appa.